Last time out in the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship, competitors tackled the tricky Cadwell Park. But Frank Bird and Jack Morton once again took the win. They were pushed all the way by returning Mark Kelly and Neil Coleman in their Ford Escort, while Adam and Ray Ripper and Chris Rook and Steve Harris took important class victories to help their championship chances.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are joining us for round 6 of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. Yes, can you believe it? We're on round 6 already. You're joining us at Snetterton this morning. The weather is holding out quite nicely. It might not look like it, but believe it or not, it is. We've got very, very exciting news today. We've got Chris West and Keith Hounslow, previous championship winners, back with us for this round. We've also got Ian Woodhouse joining us, who has won previous championships. Let's see what they can do with Frank and Jack today. Paul, straight over to you.
Thanks, Sam. Let's look through some of the entries for this round, starting with Class A, where Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin will look to fight back in the championship against Adam and Ray Ripper in their Nissan Micra. In Class B, Chris Rook and Steve Harris will look to extend their championship lead over Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst, while Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish will aim for the win to bring themselves back into contention. In Class C, Mike English and Andy Robinson are hunting down Kathy Stewart and Colin Stevens in the championship. Also look out for Gary Mason and John Matthews, who are always sideways in their Ford Escort. In D1, we welcome back reigning champion Chris West and Keith Hounslow in their Peugeot 306 Maxi kit car. But it's Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins who are the ones to beat in the standings. In D2, Frank Bird and Jack Morton will look to make it 4 in a row as they close in on the championship leaders Richard Wells and Calvin Holdsworth. Stages 1 and 2 comprise of part of the lap of the Snetterton circuit before tackling a tight, twisty but still high speed in section around the bottom of the paddock. New this year will be an off-road section where competitors also have to deal with slippery and loose surfaces. Starting off the day with Chris West and Keith Hounslow, seeded 1 as reigning champions. Chris admittedly was a bit rusty, having not been out in the car for a number of months, but he was still well on the pace. Leading the way, however, were Frank Bird and Jack Morton. Chris and the rest of the field would have to work very hard to catch these two throughout the day. Leading the way in D1 after stage 1 were Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins in their Darien T90. The pair also lead in the overall championships for driver and co-drivers with dropped scores applied. It's a nice bit of co-driving, isn't it? Left ear, mate. Fastest in Class C were Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt in the Peugeot 205. Ashley was also good value for action for the spectators watching at Snetterton as he throws his car around.
90 left,
I feel
90
well scared for those air fresheners.
Onto circuit.
Fastest after the first stage in Class B were championship hopefuls Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish in their Cirrus-backed Ford Fiesta. Sounds well slippy there, doesn't it? Meanwhile, leading the way in Class A and not slowed down at all by the loose bonnet you can see on the screen was the Nova of Andrew Egger and Adam Brown. Looks like a dodgy eyebrow. On board now with Blair and Shannon Thompson, who came across an unusual obstacle. You can also see the stranded Subaru of Neil Beaumont. Unfortunately for Blair and Shannon, however, they too would retire from the stage.
So we're here with Neil Beaumont. Neil, just talk us through your morning. We've not had the best of mornings, have we?
No, it's pretty short-lived. We did the first lap, all was fine. Started the second lap, and every time we went into a hairpin, the car was jumping out of first gear. having to hold it in for his chicanes, and then we come up to the hairpin at the end of the start-finish straight where you do the gravel section. Turned into there, and the selectors just fell off and basically into neutral. Can't select any gears, so that's the end of that.
Swiftly onto stage 2 now, and Frank Bird and Jack Morton continue to lead the way as the ones to beat in their Ford Focus WRC. Barely slowed off on the loose stuff there. On board now with Paul Smith and Dale Bowen in their Ford Fiesta R5. They were second fastest in D2, tackling the tricky, slippery, muddy and loose section competitors were having to get to grips with for this event. That car looks fantastic. Love the livery. Third quickest were Richard Wells and Calvin Holdsworth, looking to catch up with Smith and Bowen to gain some valuable championship points in their battle with Bird and Morton. Fourth quickest was Stephen Finch and Sam Forden in their Ford Fiesta 2000T. Another fantastic looking Fiesta. A little further back were Dennis Marshall and Mark James in their rather lurid and very standout MG Metro 6R4 with a Millington engine. That is mint. Just behind them were Darryl Taylor and Matt Devlin in their Mitsubishi Evo 10R4, and throwing it sideways in their Mitsubishi Evo were Lee and Louise Allen. Stuart Cadman and Peter Withers were also out in their Mitsubishi, while Ryan Moan and Peter Kettle were on their heels in their Subaru Impreza. A little further back were Nathan Yates and Richard Locker in their Subaru Impreza, and there was another Mitsubishi as well, this one for David Daniel and Matt Suttonwood. Rounding out Class D2 were Wayne and Archie LaBallestia in their Mitsubishi Evo 3. Easy for you to say. Unfortunately, it was the last time today that we'd see the Peugeot of Gavin Thompson and Simon Golding, as they would be forced to retire with a drive shaft failure. Fastest in D1 were championship leaders Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins, struggling with grip in their Darien, but still tough to beat. Back on board again with Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt. And in the cones there, scaring Freddie to death, but it was under control. This pair led the way in Class C. Top work, lads. In Class B, Steve Rook and Chris Harris continued to lead the way, whilst in Class A, the Vauxhall Nova of Andrew Egger and Adam Brown remained the pair to beat. Let's join Sam in the service area with some interviews.
So we managed to catch up with Chris West and Keith Hounslow, our current championship title holders, back-to-back championship title holders. Guys, what have you been up to? It's really, really good to have you back.
Not a lot, actually. I did Jersey in October, which we had a good result there, won that. But yeah, no, I just decided to have a bit of a break, really. Had to focus on work. You know, as much as I love the championship, it's a great championship and it is fantastic to do. I wanted to go and do some closed road events, really, just to get a bit more knowledge on notes. I want to go and try and do a rally that Sebastian Loeb's doing, because he also loves his 306s, so that's the plan. But yeah, just chilling really. But we come out to play again today, so yeah, it's going well.
Well, it is really good to have you both back. And what about you, Keith? I mean, has anything changed on the car? Have we done anything else with the car?
No, it's all the same car. We're just having to get used to it again, really. It's the first time, well, for me, in nearly a year. So yeah, it's getting back into it, really.
We're here to support the championship. You know, we're running Michelin tyres today, which are fantastic. We ran them all last year. You know, all the Michelin guys, nothing but helpful. Without them, I wouldn't have won last year. You know, the tyres are fantastic. And, you know, certainly all these closed road events, I'm taking Michelins because they certainly work on that 100%. They are a fantastic tyre.
So we're here with Chris Rook and Steve Harris. Guys, how's today going for you?
Very trying on the first stage. Went off. Richard Egger went off in the Nova. I was using his braking points, but he braked too late. So it was too late for me, so I had to go straight on, else I'd have gone straight in the side of him. We lost the engine, lost time on the grass turning round. So we came out of that stage thinking we were totally out of the rally, to be honest. To find we were only 2 seconds down on Ashley then, that was a big bonus.
First time here, you're learning the circuit and stuff. It's very difficult to judge exactly where you can brake and things. It would have helped with the overall position on this event, which would help the future seedings and stuff like that. But that's rallying, you know, everyone's in the same boat. There's numerous people going to say the same sort of things. Maybe not quite as much as the off that we had sort of thing, but you know, it's rallying. You win some, you lose some. Hopefully we had a good run on that one. Hopefully we'll get a bit improvement.
Thanks, Sam. Let's see how things stand after 2 stages. And in Class A, Andrew Egger and Adam Brown have a lead of over 1 minute over Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin, but they would be happy in second place and scoring maximum championship points. In Class B, Chris Ruck and Steve Harris have just a 13-second advantage over Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish, while Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst were up next of the championship hopefuls. In Class C, Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt had an 11-second lead over Anthony Allery and Simon Dockeray, despite that sideways action we saw on board earlier. Mike English, Nanny Robinson and Vince Sillett and Ollie Matthews were on tied times for 3rd place. In D1, Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins had just a 3-second lead over Chris West and Keith Hounslow, so they'd have to fight hard for the championship points this afternoon. In D2, it was the usual story at the minute of Frank Bird and Jack Morton already having a fantastic lead of over half a minute over Paul Smith and Dale Bowen, who likewise had 20 seconds over Richard Wells and Calvin Holdsworth. In the overall standings, Frank Bird and Jack Morton led the way from Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins, who were just 1 second ahead of Paul Smith and Dale Bowen, who were just 2 seconds ahead of Chris West and Keith Hounslow. That battle could be one to watch throughout the rest of the day. Stages 3 and 4 follow a similar pattern to this morning, but tackle another loose off-road section through the middle of the stage, before joining up with the bottom of the circuit once again. There again is a loose and slippery off-road section to finish the stages. They were pushing on, but there was trouble for Chris West and Keith Hounslow early in stage 3 as they were forced to retire from the event with fuel starvation issues. This meant that Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins had a lead of over half a minute in D1 from the next place competitor and former champion Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland in their Ford Escort Mark II. Let's take a ride on board from a unique angle at the top of their car. That's well cool, isn't it? It's like Google Maps. Stephen and Jack Tilburn were 3rd quickest in their Ford Escort, another duo well in the hunt for the championship. They definitely wouldn't be backing off through the rest of the day. Beautiful. Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones were hot on their heels, however, in another Ford Escort, clipping the tyres here, but not costing themselves any time. Little nudge. Just a little further back were Paul Morrow and Callum Cross, slipping and sliding and having a good time in the championship. In yet another Ford Escort were Michael Walton and Jamie Vaughan, who were leading round Gary Mason in front of the cameras here. Yes, boys. There was a small problem for Pete and Maria Rayner, but they suffered no real damage from the contact with the barriers. Palmer will be onto you for that. Errors in the early part of the day were Mike Taylor and Martin Haggart, though it probably wasn't helping their cause being stuck behind another car here. Also well in the mix were Paul Weston and Dean Mevo in yet another Ford Escort, and just a little way further behind them were championship regulars Seamus Morris and Jalal Kelly in their Darien. Oh, just. A little further down the order were Dean Fewings and Robert Smith's V8 Triumph TR7, while Alistair Stables and Neil Jones took an unusual line in their Vauxhall Chevette, dropping them just outside the top 10 in class. Lee Williams and Callum Francis were in yet another Ford Escort. Popular car, that. They should have a championship of their own. Just behind them were Aaron and Dean Goslin in their Ford Fiesta. Still topping the times, however, are Frank Bird and Jack Morton, whilst in Class C, Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt remained in charge. Chris Ruck and Steve Harris continued to lead in Class B, whilst Andrew Egger and Adam Brown topped the times in Class A. Straight in now to Class C. We ride on board with Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt, who suffered a slight moment right in front of Freddie's dad.
Your dad there as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Keep going.
Nothing to worry about there, guys. Second quickest in class were Anthony Allery and Simon Dockeray in their Ford Escort, bouncing over the sausage curb. Sorted. They had a little bit of an advantage over Mike English and Andy Robinson, who were hunting down the championship points as they tried to remain in the fight as the season heads to the final rounds. Vince Sillett and Ollie Matthews were having an enjoyable day, fourth fastest and level on times with Mike and Andy ahead of them. We said, didn't we, that Gary Mason and John Matthews were seldom ever straight, and here's the evidence. Slipping and sliding their Ford Escort all over the place, fifth quickest in class, and looking like they were having a great time. That's what the Fords are for. Kathy Stewart and Colin Stevens came into the day leading Class C, hoping to take the title after missing out last year. It was a welcome return for Nigel Greensall and Paul Woodside in their Toyota, taking a rather wide line here. A little further back were Ross and Connor Way in their Peugeot 205, and just behind them were Martin Ellis and Clyde Leatherby in their Renault Clio. Aaron Ricks and Rob Cook are competing in a Mark I Ford Escort, and Mark Wade and Jonathan Williams in another Vauxhall Chevette. Paul Fern and Will Brown were out in their yellow Talbot Sunbeam, chasing a top 10 finish. Great to see so many different cars. Just behind them was Martin DeVere Packford and Sharon Plummer's Peugeot 306, whilst John and Laura Coolidge were out to play in their Ford Anglia. Love that car. This was heading a tight bunch of cars consisting of Rob Kitchen and David Smalley's Peugeot 205. Rob Clark and Tudor Davis's Ford Escorts were also in the mix. And championship regulars John Carroll and Chris Cooper were out in their Honda Civic EP3 Type R. And there, John and Joshua Pearson in another Ford Escort. Rick Coleman and Bob Best returned in their Ford Fiesta, which we last saw at Brands Hatch, whilst James Fewings and Lewis Taylor were competing in a Toyota MR2. It's cool, isn't it? David Large and David Ottaway were out in their Ford Escort, just ahead of Nigel and Catherine Brain in their Mazda MX-5. Rounding off the Class C competitors were Jeff Gurrier and Steve Dolman in the regular Paul Sheard MX-5s. Can't wait to get back out of mine. Top of the times though were Frank Bird and Jack Morton, now leading by over a minute from Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins, and it was looking very unlikely that anyone would catch these guys. Frank here making short work of the off-road section with that four-wheel drive power of that Ford Focus WRC machine. Even though that MX-5 did look quicker through that chicane, mate, come on. On board now with Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins also flying through the off-road section, but coming across Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt, who we rode on board with as they slid off here earlier. That didn't slow them down though. Lucky boys. Remaining fastest in Class B were Chris Rook and Steve Harris, who had a good lead over their championship rivals and were looking to open up further ground in the championship standings today. Rounding off the class leaders were Andrew Egger and Adam Brown in their Vauxhall Nova. One of my faves, flying around the stages in this car. It was unlikely again that anybody would be able to catch them if they had a trouble-free run to the end of the day. Let's join Sam in the service area.
Frank, Jack, I'm not going to lie, I was very much looking forward to today because I thought you'd have a really good competition. Chris West was back, Ian Woodhouse was back, Paul Smith. I thought, right, you're going to have some competition today. Just talk us through how your day's going.
Yeah, it's going really well so far. It's a shame Chris broke down, really. It would have been good to have a bit of competition and stuff through the day, but I can't complain, really. It's going really well. Car feels mega and really enjoying the day so far.
So how are you finding it as a circuit compared to the other rounds of the championship then?
Yeah, it's good. No, it's really good, especially the gravel section over the back for the finish, and now the gravel section in the centre bit as well. It just gives something a bit different. Like, it gives, obviously, him being a circuit racer, he's never really been on the loose that often, apart from the one rally we've done. So it just gives it a bit of different aspect of it. It's good, really enjoying it.
Mike, Martin, it seems to be a little bit all or nothing today. Just talk us through your day, because it's not been the ideal start, has it?
No, wrong tyres on stage 1, a spin and a stall, 30 seconds off the pace, so not very happy. Stage 2, stayed with the cut super softs and it seemed to work. 30 seconds quicker, but still a bit off the pace. Stage 3, we had a misfire, which pushed us down, and fixed that. Last stage, we clipped a tyre on the inside on the gravel bit, so we bent our steering and destroyed a tyre. So, not the best of days, but we're moving up slowly. I think we're back up in the top 15 now.
Yep, looking forward to the afternoon stages. Some fun, loose stuff this morning. Bit of a novelty for Mike, I think. Might get him out to the forests one day, you never know.
Now, first of all, we have to start with a huge happy birthday, because it is Jack's birthday today, so happy birthday, Jack. I mean, what better way would you want to spend your birthday than at a rally, obviously?
Normally, if someone's going out on their birthday rally and they're normally going to watch it, or a bit of touring car or something on TV, I get to sit in the passenger seat of the hot seat. So, yeah, sliding around today because it's a bit wet, so even more excitement. And this year we've got gravel and bits and bobs all over the side of the track, which we haven't really been on before, so it's good layout. It's a bit interesting, a bit different to the previous years.
Yeah, it's really good actually. I ought to tell the story, but he will stop me. But 25 years ago today, I held him up to the moon and said, we're going to have some fun together. And he stops me every time. I might as well stop now.
I'll repeat it now because I know it word by word.
I mean, what a way for a father and son to enjoy themselves. Brilliant. Absolutely. Yeah, and the stages are good actually. The changes have been, I was a bit dubious about them. I don't like gravel. Cars aren't set up for it, but it's okay. And it adds another element to it and it uses more of the circuit. I've really enjoyed it so far. It's been good, yeah.
Thank you, Sam. So let's see how things stand after 4 stages. Andrew Eggert and Adam Brown have a healthy lead over Adam and Ray Ripper, who in turn have a 2-second advantage over Ron Walker and Eamon McCubbin in that title battle. In Class B, Chris Ruck and Steve Harris have a 39-second lead, while the next championship competitors, Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish, are narrowly ahead of Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst. That could also have a big impact on the championship. In Class C, Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt were enjoying their day and were nearly 30 seconds ahead of Anthony Allery and Simon Dockeray. Mike English and Andy Robinson and Vince Sillett and Ollie Matthews were still tied on times. In D1, Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins are pulling away from returnees Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland, with Stephen and Jack Tilburn sitting pretty in third. Frank Bird and Jack Morton were just flying away from the field in Class D2. That is a dad joke. Paul Smith and Dale Bowen were valiantly battling on behind them, while Class Championship leaders Richard Wells and Calvin Holdsworth were third quickest. In the overall standings, Frank Bird and Jack Morton have a 78-second lead over Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins, while Paul Smith and Dale Bowen, Richard Wells and Calvin Holdsworth were up next. The drivers have had a good run so far and the weather has held, so let's see what stages 5 and 6 have in store. The cars will now start at the end of the pit lane and they will head down to the pits into the paddock complex in the reverse direction to the morning stages. From there on, they'll head out onto the track before turning 90 degrees to join the access roads for some gravel fun. We'll have 2.5 laps before finishing on the infield complex just after Hamilton. We're looking into the Class B entries this time, and it's championship frontrunners Chris Ruck and Steve Harris who lead the way in this class after 4 stages. They'd face a few challenges over the day, but they kept their head to grow their lead at the top. Simon Matchin and Adam Houston posted the biggest threat, but they wouldn't be able to have the pace to match Ruck and Harris. They would fall back down the order in the afternoon, ultimately retiring from the rally. Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish were fastest after the first stage and were running third at the start of this stage, but they had a nightmare, losing 2 minutes to drop to 10th. They'd eventually recover to 7th place. Taking advantage though were Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst to move into 3rd place, although this wouldn't have helped them. They'd finish the day in 2nd to minimise the points they'd lose to the championship rivals Ruck and Harris. On board now with Mark Peterson and Jim Bowie in their Citroen C2R2 Max as they take to the bumpy gravel section of the track. It's a new addition for this year and the improvements have gone down very well with the competitors. Mark and Jim would finish in third place, which puts Mark equal third with Chris and Steve in the championship. Good stuff. Need a hands device for that thing, don't you? Here we have it then, last year's Class A champions Dale and Andrew Lawson in their MGZR, and it's great to have them back. They'd move up to 5th place after the stage and stay there for the rest of the day. Michael Farmer and Bruce Lindsay made an appearance at Alton for round 1, but they had much more of a consistent performance here to finish the day 6th. Martin Lush and David Taylor brought their Toyota Corolla out to play at this round and they were having a great run, but it all come undone on the next stage. The trusty Ford Fiesta of Connor Tolson and Brian Alara coped well with the gravel sections and they would have a brilliant afternoon, moving from 9th to finish 4th. Matthew Ockenden and Vicky Barry drove their distinctive Peugeot 205 to finish in 8th place at the end of the day, gaining 2 places over the course of the afternoon. If you're looking to sponsor, get in touch with Tony Michael or Paul Barrett. They drove a solid event to finish the day 9th in class. Rounding out the class were Steve Casey and Paul Hopkinson in their 205 and they'd finished the day 10th. Using all the road out front were Frank Bird and Jack Morton. Look at that thing go. Whilst in D1, Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins continue to lead with Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt leading Class C. Meanwhile, Andrew Egger and Adam Brown extended their Class A lead by over 20 seconds on this stage alone. Now that takes us nicely to the start of stage 6 as we focus on the Class A runners. As Andrew and Adam blast off the line, they're proving to be the ones to watch in this class. They go another 21 seconds faster on this stage to give them a 2-minute cushion at the top of the times. Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin had a really good battle with championship rivals the Rippers during the morning stages, and the fight continued on this stage as the pair duked it out for glory and championship points. Still looks a great car, the Puma. Clearly feeling confident though, Adam Ripper gave us a little wave on the line as they set a faster time than Ron and Amy to eke out a 3-second advantage in 2nd place. Behind them, in a similar looking micro, were James Hardy and Nick Wilkins. These two would have a brilliant afternoon, but more on that later. James is well placed in the Class A Championship in 5th place and will be hoping to crack to the top 3 in the final 2 rounds. Ian Barnes and Jason Cutter gained a place in the afternoon's running after retirement of series stalwarts Sir Andrew McAlpine and Andrew Merrifield. Their Ford Ka almost getting wiped out by the wayward Peugeot 306. Is that rear-wheel drive? Steady, boy. Barry Marshall and Oliver Marshall came close to passing Ian Barnes and Jason Cutter in the standings at the end of the day, but they were denied by only a few seconds. Kay Thompson and Charlotte Wainwright did a great job to move through the field and finish 5th at the end of the day. Kay sits 6th in the championship standings in Class A, and points mean prizes. It's like a micro championship. I love it. The Ford Puma of Mark Anderson and Ian Humphrey get a good start, and they'd have a solid rally to finish the day in 8th place. Whilst Mike Watson and Adrian Lloyd were the only runners in the MX-5 class, you have to be in it to win it, as the saying goes. Now, if you're wondering how that Toyota Corolla got there, here's how. Damn it. Martin Lush and David Taylor would get the car back out for the final 2 stages, but having lost a boatload of time. This didn't trouble Frank and Jack as they pressed on at the front of D2 and overall. It was the same story with the order in D1, with Barry and Tom leading the way. A curb-hopping Ashley Davis leads Class C and looks happy with his work. Got the horn. Chris Rook and Steve Harris were still leading in Class B. Let's go to Sam with the interviews.
Barry, Tom, you're having a great day today, aren't you, so far? How are you finding it?
Yes, again, it's a new circuit to us, so we're getting quicker as the day goes on. It's drying out a bit too, so no, happy.
Good. Tom, have you been here before? Because, I mean, you have kind of got around a few circuits, haven't you, recently? Have you been here before?
Yeah, I could say I've been around the block a bit. Yeah, I've been 10 years ago the first time I came here, and that was in the fog in the Saxo. And then when the fog cleared, it was dark, so we didn't really see much of the circuit. But yeah, it's good to be at the sharp end. You know, it's really good. We've had several different sets of tyres on it, combinations of wets and slicks and stuff like that. But no, we've been on the right tyres all day, which is important.
And how are you finding the gravel bit round about? Because I think a few people have had a couple of issues with that. What's it been like in this?
It's good fun. We enjoy the gravel. A bit of sideways is good for everybody.
Because apparently it's like little bit broken up in bits and pieces, and I wasn't sure whether the car being so low down, whether you'd struggle with that or not. But
we haven't looked underneath it to see what it's doing to it, but not worry about it yet.
Gary, John, just talk us through your day, because we've got smashed windscreens, we've got duct tape, we've got all sorts going on, and we're also about to be run over by Vince, but we'll just ignore him for now.
Rally school earlier on was beyond Mike Walton, wasn't it? Mike Walton got showered in stones and planings and whatever else. Good bit of fun. We had a good crack with him around the track. Good bit of sport. Back in, we've hit a concrete pillar. Having a bit of a bad day with damage, but having a good day so far. It's great, isn't it? Spot on.
How did you manage to hit a concrete pillar?
Coming out of rally school, handbraked it and just slid and just hit it. Stopped us dead, and luckily we just took off, so I didn't lose no time. But yeah, no, it's going well so far. A bit better this afternoon, so making up a bit of time what we need to, don't we?
And John, how are you finding the circuit? Because there's obviously that gravel's done a little bit of damage. How are you finding it out there?
Yeah, we find it a lot better actually compared to us last year. This morning was a little bit slow, but we've been on it this afternoon, so we've just got about 6 seconds to make up to get second in class. So all being well, last two stages we won't be able to make it up.
If we've got no damage, we're not trying hard enough, so it's working.
Paul, Dan, talk us through your day today. Apparently you're making Paul work really, really hard.
Yes, that is what we pay him for. So just getting value for money out of the lad, to be honest.
Okay, so why are we making him work really hard? What have we done today?
To be fair, we've been fairly clean, haven't we? To be honest, we've been quite clean on the stages. We have enjoyed the last 3 stages immensely. There's been a lot of laughing, quite a bit of sideways action. And a couple of mirrors knocked off, so that's probably all he can criticise us for, really.
Okay. No, mirrors are fine. We can cope with mirrors, can't we? We can. How have we found Snetterton?
I'm loving it. First time I've been here. Enjoying the stages. They're fast, they're flowing. Few technical bits as well, and Paul's learning to put his foot down a bit harder, so it's quite good fun.
Yeah, I think the change in stages this year, they've added a lot more interesting elements to it, especially that gravel bit over there, and it's dead close to the fans, so we're getting a lot of thumbs up when we're going round there sideways.
Excellent. How are we finding it, being so low to the ground, going over that gravel bit? How are you finding that?
It's bumpy, isn't it? It's quite bumpy, because when you actually look, we are literally on the ground, so we do try and avoid the bigger bumps if we can, but not always possible, is it? So.
Dan Hirst should have his own show, shouldn't he? We should just interview him. So, a confirmation of the Class A runners we've just seen, with Andrew Egger and Adam Brown over 2 minutes clear of the Rippers, who had Ron and Amy just behind. Sadly though, Simon and Sarah Hawking retired their Mini just before the stage. In Class B, it's too close to call for second and third, with Paul Gorge leading Mark Peterson by just 6 seconds. It's also a very close fight for 5th and 6th places, but that's not an issue for Chris Rook and Steve Harris out front. Look at that! In 3rd place, Anthony Ellery and Simon Dockery and Gary Mason and John Matthews are level on times, and they are just 7 seconds behind Mike English and Annie Robinson in 2nd place. This could be close. There's a similar close battle brewing in Class D1, with Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones just 1 second off the tails of Stephen and Jack Tilbin in 3rd place. Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland look comfortable in 2nd. In D2, it's Frank Bird and Jack Morton out front by 2.5 minutes from Paul Smith and Dale Bowen. But there's a Mitsubishi standoff for 7th between Lee Allen and Louise Allen and Stuart Cadman and Mike Withers with just 1 second between them. Unbelievable. Overall, Frank and Jack lead by nearly 2 minutes from Barry and Tom in their Darien. Ian Woodhouse and Sam Finch are separated by just 1 second in 5th and 6th, and the Tilburn-Hodgson battle could decide who finishes 7th. It's really picked up here, and that's going to affect the cars as they complete stages 7 and 8. Let's have a look at the stage map, and they'll start in the pit lane and move along through the paddock section before joining the circuit and heading around the fast sweeping Coram and bombhole corners. Then they'll go through the chicanes on the Bentley Straight before completing the lap just before the Palmer corner. Frank Bird and Jack Morton continue to lead the rally after 6 stages and have an almost unassailable lead. With the wind and the rain picking up, they'll still need to keep their focus, but they put their 4-wheel drive machinery to good use and they extend their lead by 16 seconds. Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins were up next, and they were running 2nd overall in the rally and 1st in the D1 class. They'd have a mega stage to extend their class lead over Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland by over 21 seconds, and their gap to 3rd place overall by 22 seconds. Let's join them on board. See what you got, lads. Fully on it, aren't they? We need to club together and buy you some new gloves, son. Real nimble car, that is. Great to see the boys at work. In Class C, Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt were certainly not lacking commitment either in their brilliant-looking Peugeot 205 GTI as they extended their lead by 16 seconds over nearest rival Mike English and Addy Robinson in their Ford Escort. The pair will be hoping for a clean final stage to allow them to take home their 1st place trophy. With Simon Matchin and Adam Houston falling down the order on stage 6, Chris Rook's biggest competition now comes from the Paul Sheard Autosport car of championship rivals Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst. Chris and his co-driver Steve Harris start stage 7 with a 1-minute lead over the blue and orange and white Mazda and would extend the lead by 4 seconds by the end. In Class A, Andrew Egerton and Adam Brown have a lead of over 2 minutes on Adam and Ray Ripper in their Nissan Micra. These two have been the class of the field so far today and would extend their lead by a further 23 seconds on this stage. Going great guns. Moving into the final stage, and Frank Bird and Jack Morton only have to complete this stage to take the win. They finished the stage 14 seconds faster than anyone else to secure victory number 4 of the season so far. Unbelievable. Running 2nd on the road and 2nd in the rally, Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins again had a good run to claim victory in the D1 class. They'd use all the power of that Darien, which looks planted, as we join them on board for a final blast around the track. They'd finish the stage a further 12 seconds faster than nearest rival Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland for top honours. Finishing 2nd in the D2 class and 3rd overall, it's the Ford Fiesta R5 of Paul Smith and Dale Bowen. Next up, it's Jack and Stephen Tilburn in their Ford Escort Mark II. They'd finished stage 6 in 3rd, 1 second ahead of Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones, with the order reversed on stage 7, so this is a fight to the line and a podium spot in D1. They'd need a solid performance to regain 3rd place. Martin and Tony aren't going to give it up easily though, and they used every inch of the road and curb to go 5 seconds faster on the stage to hold on to 3rd place. Behind them was another incredible battle with Mike Taylor and Martin Haggart going hell for leather against Paul Morrow and Callum Cross. Mike and Martin were 30 seconds behind at the end of stage 6, 19 seconds behind after stage 7, and would go an amazing 20 seconds faster than Paul and Callum here to steal 5th in D1. Outrageous stuff from the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. Love it. They were still coming through though, with Michael Walton and Jamie Vaughan ending stage 7 1 second faster than Sean Weston and Dean Mevo. The number 17 car, however, would go 1 second faster, so they finished the rally level on times. Incredible. It was a lot more straightforward though in Class C, with Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt doing enough to win the class by 90 seconds, having led the class from stage 1. They'll both have to be super happy with such a strong performance. I think it was the few orange that was swinging around in the dash. Going on board now with Gary Mason and John Matthews, and as we know from Sam's chat with them earlier, they were not holding back. They started the stage 23 seconds behind second place and put in an amazing performance to finish just 1 second shy of Mike English and Andy Robinson. Proper effort, that is. The Turquoise Terror going for it. Chris Rook and Steve Harris did what they had to do to take the Class B win. Class A went the way of Andrew Eggert and Adam Brown in their Vauxhall Nova, which was no great surprise given the margin of nearly 3 minutes over the rest, but there was drama behind. Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin started the stage in second place, but had a nightmare, dropping 12 seconds and falling back to third place, being overtaken by championship rivals Adam and Ray Ripper in their Nissan Micra, and equaling the time of the number 76 Micra of James Hardy and Nick Wilkins. Here's Sam with the winners.
Huge congratulations, guys. 3rd overall again. You've got to be pleased with that. You were playing Super Mario, weren't you, today?
Yeah, I thought it was one stage, hit as many things as possible and get as many points and as many 10-second penalties. And yeah, we did that. We were definitely top of the tree for that. I'm amazed we're actually here at the end of the day, but probably due to this man and his amazing co-driving skills, rather than me playing dodgems.
You did seem to have, when we were talking earlier on this morning, you did seem to have kind of loads of issues, but never seemed to massively drop on time. So quite lucky as well there.
Yeah, obviously we broke a drive shaft in stage 4. That probably cost us about 25. That was a bit of an issue, and I wasn't sure we were going to get going again after that. But Spencer Sport did an amazing job, you know, and also the marshals and all the organisers do an amazing job. They just never get enough credit for what they do. Good day.
And you're actually hiding, I think, the only point on the car, the only corner that we haven't hit. So, but you're both still smiling at the end of the day, so huge congratulations once again, and I hope to see you at another couple of rounds.
You will do indeed. Thanks, Sam.
Tom, huge congratulations. You're on the podium, 2nd overall. Got to be pleased with that.
Yeah, I was saying to Tom, if you'd offered that this morning, I would have been more than happy, so can't ask for better.
And good day all round, really. It hasn't been bad at all, has it?
No, it's been fantastic. Even the weather's been sort of fairly kind. I thought we were going to have another hurricane again. But no, Barry's not put the foot wrong all day. He's been had a little bit of luck as well. But you need that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And to finish 2nd overall, obviously it all comes down to this. And as long as you've enjoyed the day.
No, it makes the journey, obviously, from Ireland worthwhile. So, no, happy out. And thank you to Tom for keeping me right.
Frank, Jack, win 4 now this season. I mean, you're pretty much unbeatable, aren't you? I don't know what more we can say about you. I'm running out of words, really, to congratulate you each time, but congratulations once again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, can't believe it really now. 4 in a row. Yeah, it's going really well. Can't really run out of words, really.
Yeah. I mean, how have you found Snetterton? Because it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's been really good with the gravel sections. Had something a little bit different, but no, I really enjoyed it. And thanks to all the marshals and everyone. Thanks to the team and Jack as well.
I mean, you do seem to keep him quite right, but it was your first day here as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I have to say this is one of the few tracks that I've actually never been around. So, I said earlier, Frank has more experience here than I do, but it's just sort of trying to keep him cool head on him, but he never seems to get flustered or anything. So, my job's pretty easy, to be fair.
Here we go then, confirmation of the Class A results. It's a convincing win for Andrew Egger and Adam Brown in their Vauxhall Nova, with Adam and Ray Ripper in second place. That will help their championship battle as we head to Anglesey, with Ron Walker and Emil Cubbin just behind. This is one that's going to be interesting to watch. Chris Ruck and Steve Harris take the Class B honours from Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst, but the order is reversed in the championship, with Paul and Daniel 4 points clear at the top. Mark Peterson finishes third, and he is also level with Chris and Steve in the championship. Ashley Davis and Freddie Hewitt win Class C, with Mike English and Andy Robinson second, after so nearly losing out to Gary Mason and John Matthews after that epic drive. Kathy Stewart and Colin Stevens are fifth to preserve their championship lead. Barry and Tom have been the two to beat here at Snetterton, and they scored a thoroughly well-deserved victory. Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland are second, having shown some brilliant car control in their Ford Escort, and then behind, the titanic battles we've just seen. Frank and Jack take their fourth Class D2 win of the year, winning by over 3 minutes over the Ford Fiesta R5 of Paul Smith and Dale Bowen. Richard Wells and Calvin Holdsworth finished third, which gives them a useful championships point haul, as they hope to fend off Frank and Jack in the final 2 rounds. Confirmation of the overall results, and it's victory for Frank and Jack over D1 class winners Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins. Paul Smith and Dale Bowen are third, with Steve Finch and Sam Fordham popping their Fiesta R5 into 6th place overall. In the Michelin Cup, Mike Taylor has an 18-point lead over Paul Morrow, gaining 3 points after his superb performance in the final few stages. Barry Morris is only 1 point behind Paul on 299 points, with Richard Wells not far behind either. In the overall championship standings for co-drivers, it's Martin Haggett who leads the way on 310 points, with Tom Hutchins and Callum Cross level in second place, 21 points behind. Only 1 point separates Jack Tilburn and Calvin Holdsworth in 4th and 5th. In the Drivers' Championship, once again it's Mike Taylor at the top, but it's a tight battle for second place, with Barry Morris now moving into second, just 1 point ahead of Paul Morrow. Frank Bird's run of 4 straight wins moves him up the table, but others will have to have a disaster to allow him to crack into the top 3. The championship battles are hotting up, and it will be all to play for at Anglesey next time out. See you then.